Was the US dollar's pullback on Friday a sign of things to come or simply a trap going into the weekend? That's what we're talking about in today's video. I'm sharing my exact trade plan for the DXY, the euro, the pound, the dollar versus the Swiss franc, and also gold for next week. So my name is Justin Bennett, full-time trader and founder of Daily Price Action. As always, all of this is my opinion only and not financial advice. So let's get right into it, guys. DXY 4-hour time frame. Now, if you saw the last video from last weekend, what we talked about there was the fact that the DXY here, the US dollar index, had closed a gap from back here. So if you'll notice on the 4-hour, you can see this gap right back here. We had a gap and then displacement. Okay, so we had a gap back here, plus all of this back here was an imbalance for the DXY, which these often serve as magnets, so to speak, for a market, because this is an inefficient auction. This entire move back here created an inefficiency, and markets tend to revisit areas like this to facilitate an efficient auction. And that's exactly what we got. You can see where the DXY bounced right here from that level, closing the gap. Now, the requirement from the last video that I made was a change of character on the 1-hour time frame. So what you'll notice here is that on the 1-hour, you can see where we did get two internal BOSs here. So we got the internal BOS, making this the protected high, and we took it out right here. So this right here was the cue to start looking for US dollar longs. And we talked about this in the Discord group. In fact, I was shorting the euro based on this flip right here. And one way that you could have confirmed this too, just as a little teaching moment here, if we go back here toward this area, if you really wanted to confirm this, you could drop down to a 5-minute and start mapping out things like this right here. Okay, so if we play this forward here, what you'll notice is that we had the internal BOS, we went sideways here for a bit, okay, then started to move higher. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this right here, okay, so off of this low, this right here was an internal BOS, okay? That made this up here the external high. The moment the DXY took out this level up here, that right there was the cue on the 5-minute time frame to start looking for US dollar longs, okay? So just to kind of backtrack, we had the hourly internal BOS. We then had the 5-minute flip right here telling us that this low was in, okay? And so right there, from that moment on, okay, if we play this forward now, from that moment on last week, you can see where the DXY did move higher. Now, it wasn't an explosive move higher, but still the market was in rally mode. And if you were buying through here, right, on that flip, then of course you would have been in profit last week. And if you want to see how I do just that with SMC every single week, check out the link right here on the screen. That's going to be a free SMC course. It's the same exact strategy that I use to trade full time. I hold nothing back, almost 2 hours of content that you won't find on YouTube. So check that out right here on the screen. If you don't see it here, check out the link in the description of this video. So that right there was the cue to start looking for longs. Now, as far as what we get next week, all right, so let's talk about this here. Now, another reason why too I was looking for US dollar longs down here is because clearly we had this as an imbalance back here, right? So here's our gap, here's that imbalance that we mitigated through here. We also got that change of character that we just talked about. Now, another reason though why I was looking for longs here is because of this right here, okay? So this was pretty close over here in terms of a change of character. It wasn't the most convincing close. However, like I've said before, the euro shows this really well. The EURUSD closed below its low by about 55 pips. Okay, so it was very convincing, which we'll talk about next. But this right here, this BOS back here on the daily chart, okay, so BOS right here with this close, this was the external high, and we took it out over here. Okay, so I still think, and look, I could be wrong on this, right? There are no guarantees in trading. I could be wrong on this, but I still think that looking at this structure shift on the hourly time frame, or on the daily time frame, and the fact that we are coming off of this trend, this downtrend back here in 2025, and also the fact too, don't forget that we have some massive imbalances back here, specifically this up here, right? And I don't know if the DXY is going to get up there sometime in 2026. I mean, it could even take until 2027 if we are going to get up there. But look, I don't know if we're going to have this up here, but looking at this here, looking at these imbalances, looking at the daily time frame, this change of character, I would be really, really careful if you are bearish on the US dollar right now, given this structure shift. And again, the EURUSD shows it even better, which we'll talk about next. So right now, guys, as far as the DXY, I do think that early next week, we could be looking at a pullback, at least in the first day or two. So one area that I'll be watching here for the DXY is if we were to get a further pullback, you've got an imbalance right here on this candle. Okay, so down here in this region, this is what I'd be watching. Right around like 98.3, 98.4. If we were to get below that, there is still a chance that we could dip down here toward this low or even back in this region, okay? That could potentially happen. However, this is the area through here that I'd be really be interested in next week to see what we get from there. Okay, because ultimately looking at this chart, you can see where we still have an imbalance back here for the DXY. We still have this open gap right back here. And really all of this up here is just one big imbalance for the DXY, which I still think above these highs, I still think that we get this up here before possibly a rotation lower. But it's just all a matter of having the right timing for this right here. I think that the thing you've got to be careful of is if you're hearing me say this and you're thinking, I'm going to get long up here, right? The problem there is that we could get a pullback. And furthermore, too, you kind of miss the boat on the long. Like I said back here, this internal change of character on the 1 hour plus this 5 minute change of character down here, this right here was the long, okay? I think that right now, with the market coming into this pocket of resistance, I think that looking for pullbacks next week is the way to go. If we, though, get a lower time frame change of character from there, that could be the catalyst for the higher low and the push higher up here toward the highs, possibly the area up here, this imbalance for the DXY. All right. So that's what I'm looking at. You know, as always, guys, this is a fluid situation. And I will be sure to update members in Discord as things unfold, and also any trades that I take or any changes I make to my current trades. Okay, so let's move along now to the euro. So this one right here, if we go to the daily chart, this is what I talked about, how you can see where we had the BOS up here. So this was a bullish BOS. This told us that buyers remained in control. However, what this also did is it told us that this is the external low down here, which you can see that we clearly took this out, okay? We closed below this by over 50 pips. And so this was very convincing. And so therefore I was looking for a lower high to develop over here. Okay, now we did get that last week, or at least the start of it. Now this channel is something I showed you guys before we even got up here. So when the euro was trading through here, I showed you this channel. I said 1.18 is where I was looking for shorts. And you can see where on the 1 hour time frame, we did get that set up. Okay, so I was looking for shorts right here. This was, again, the internal BOS. We had the change of character. We had the lower high develop. This right here was the short, okay, up here. Now, in terms of targets, okay, has this run its course? In my opinion, it has not. Okay, I still think that when you look at this chart here, you look at this channel, you look at the imbalance back here, right? This right here, even though this was a bullish change of character, if you look at this here from the low to the high, the issue with looking for longs here from the euro is that from the low down here up here to the high, if you're bullish on this market, this down here is the 50%. Okay, so if you're looking for longs up here, you're technically buying high, and that's not what you want to do. Because we had the bullish change of character back here, anything above 50% is technically considered buying high in SMC terms. So really, if you're going to buy the euro, if you're going to even think about buying the euro, it's got to be down here below 50%. It's got to be back here in this discount area, especially when you consider this imbalance right back here for the euro around 1.16 and, you know, potentially even lower. So yeah, I can't get behind a bullish stance on the euro right now. I still think that this area down here could serve as a magnet, so to speak, for this market to really come back here and mitigate this imbalance sometime next week. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't see this market move higher first, okay? Because there is also, you can see that back here, areas like this specifically, right? This is technically an imbalance. So there is a case, especially with the craziness in these markets right now with the Middle East, there is a case to be made where we get the market actually moving up here first, taking out some of these highs, and then we get that rotation lower, right? I'm not calling that as a forecast, but I'm just saying that that is, you know, a possible scenario we could see next week. But either way, though, given what I'm seeing on the daily chart with this change of character down here, I do think that we probably see lower from the euro over potentially even the coming weeks and months. Now, what a lot of people say, and I've said this in previous videos too, but what a lot of people say when I show this chart and I show this change of character right here is they say, well, this isn't a true change of character because we close below and then close right back above. And that does not matter, guys. The fact that we close below here and close right back above doesn't matter. This is still a change of character. Okay, this is not just a sweep. If this were going to be a sweep on the daily chart, what you would have seen is the market come down here, test this low, okay, maybe wick below it and then take off, okay? But we would not have gotten a daily close below it. So in terms of the daily time frame, this right here is in fact a change of character. Okay, so that's how I have to view this market, and that's how I am viewing this market as of now. And you can really see this displacement back here in discount back here. This region right around like 1.155 or so that could come into play here over the coming days. Obviously, if we were to come up here and take out this high, then that could be a different story. But one thing too, before we move on to the pound, you can see here, this is the area that I was referring to earlier on the 1 hour chart, this wick up here, okay? So this wick up here right here is technically an imbalance for this market, and you can see it right here. So really above 1.18, there is still that scenario where we see the euro come up here next week, take out this imbalance, right, and clear out any late shorts, and then potentially from there, we get the rotation lower. All right, so not calling this out as a forecast. If you guys know me, then I don't predict markets. I mean, that's not why I'm drawing these arrows on here. These are just possible scenarios that we could get from these markets. All right, so moving right along to GBPUSD. Okay, so Friday's candle, guys, is looking pretty bullish here, right? And you can see back here too, candles like this right here. This is the daily time frame. You can see candles like this. This is also that imbalance similar to the euro, although this market is approaching that area a lot faster than the euro. So something to watch early next week. Now, like the euro too, we do have here on the pound, if you look at the 4 hour time frame, we have back here this market moving lower, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Now back here we had the BOS, okay? So this closed below. We then had this as the external high. We took this out, okay? So this is technically a bullish 4 hour change of character. Now, with that in mind though, one thing here for the pound, very similar to the euro, is if you look at from this low down here up here to this high, you can see where the 50% comes in at these lows. And you can also see where this displacement back here is down here in discount and really OTE, that optimal trade entry, where we typically see markets reverse after something like a change of character. So the point here is that, like I mentioned with the euro, right? I don't see this right now as a buy. I think if you're going to get bullish on this market, it would have to be down here following a change of character, because right now the market, based on this range, okay, the market is still trading above the 50%. It's still trading in premium. Okay, so for me, this right here, this area down here, I'm still watching 1.33 up to about 1.335. Okay, so this entire area back here for the pound, I think if you're shorting up here, that is a possible target. Now, in terms of where we could reverse next week, looking at the 4 hour time frame, if you'll notice here, everything above this high right here, like this entire pocket back here, is an imbalance for this market. Okay, so up around, let's say 1.356, 1.357, this entire area back here is again an imbalance. So if we were to see the pound come up here next week sometime, mitigate this area, and then give a lower time frame change of character, okay, that could potentially be a short for that move lower back down here toward the lows, and then potentially mitigating the imbalance that we saw back here. Okay, so this one right back here. So that is one thing to watch next week. Again, watching this area up here for a lower time frame shift to get short for a move down here toward this area. Now, if we don't see that and the pound just continues higher and we don't get a lower time frame shift up here, okay, and the market just takes out this high, then of course that's different. Then we've got a bullish pound once again, and any short idea is off the table. All right, so let's look at the dollar Swiss franc next. And this kind of confirms to what I just mentioned with the euro and the pound. And that is that if we look at the 1 hour time frame, so what you'll notice is clearly a downtrend back here. Now, one thing happened here recently though, in terms of SMC market structure. So you can see that the BOS back here, right, we closed below this low, giving us a BOS. That made this the protected high. So we did take this out, right? So same rules apply. If we go from the low to the high, okay, so this low right down here, up here to this high, assuming this is the swing high now, if this is the case, then you can see where discount comes in right down here. And this was also an imbalance for this market because we had displacement out of here. The market never revisited this area. So the region down here, right around 0.781, this region down here is something I would watch next week. Okay, if we do get the market pulling back early next week down here toward this region, following this 1 hour change of character, I think looking for longs down here could be interesting. Okay. Now, what would be key there though, is a lower time frame shift. All right. Down here in this region. And this is the benefit of being in Discord, guys, is that I do post setups in real time. I do, comment on markets in real time. So as this unfolds next week, we will be talking about this in real time in Discord. And if I take a trade, I will also announce that in real time, just like I did with the euro short. All right. So as far as targets too, one reason that I think we could see some relief here from a market like this, even though we have had this recent downtrend. Okay, one reason for that is that you can see so far this pullback here has mitigated much of this imbalance back here. But one thing here to keep in mind is just like we have this range from this high down here up here to this low, and we have discount coming in down here with this imbalance, we also then have, if you take from this high up here, okay, down here toward this low, remember, this is range high to range low. Now that we've had this 1 hour shift, okay, what you'll notice is that OTE, optimal trade entry, comes in up here at this massive imbalance as well. So the way that this looks is you have on the 4 hour time frame, you have this larger range from the high up here down here to the low. You then have a smaller range from this low up here to the high. Okay, so all of this right now points to potentially, okay, I have to emphasize that potentially we have a long developing from this area down here for a move up here toward this region. Okay, now again, there's still confirmation that's needed here. This is not a forecast. It's not a prediction. We have to wait for the market to give us a signal down here next week. Okay, if we don't get a lower time frame shift, a lower time frame confirmation, down here to show a change of character and show demand for the market moving back here toward the highs and potentially this area up here, then there is no long. If the market just crashes from here and pulls back with no lower time frame shift to test these lows, then guys, there's no long here. Okay, so I really just want to be clear with that this is a fluid situation, as are all markets. So watching this and just, writing this in stone for the entire week and just saying, well, this is what Justin said, and therefore I'm going to do it. It doesn't work like that. We have to wait and see what the market gives us down here next week to see if there's any validity to this or not. Okay, so let's finish up now with gold, XAUUSD. All right, so the market right now, guys, like I said before, the market pulling back here with these lower highs and lower lows, this is still alive and well for the simple fact that we did take out this low back here. Okay, so we took this out here on the 4 hour. This was acceptance below the low, and you can see where so far we are potentially getting a lower high. Now, I say potentially because if we look at this on the 1 hour time frame, we don't actually have confirmation of this just yet. So you can see here that we do have the internal BOS up here. We have the close above. That makes this down here the protected low. This is the low that buyers have to hold on to for this uptrend to stay intact. Okay, if we see gold get below this level right here, so this comes in at 46.45. If we see gold get below here next week, okay, then that gives us a change of character, in which case I'm looking for shorts, okay, on any imbalances that develop. For example, if the market were to early next week just plunge below here, right, and this up here is an imbalance, then I'm looking for shorts against this, okay, because that would be a change of character here on the 1 hour time frame. And as you can see back here too, as I've marked out, as I've talked about, this back here is an imbalance. Okay, so basically below this low right here, even this lower wick on the 1 hour, all of this back here is an imbalance for this market. So if we get that, I'm looking for shorts. And like I've said with other stuff here too, guys, there's nothing to say that this is a short right now. If the market were to rally early next week and not close below here and just take out this high, then there's no short. Okay, no harm done. But for me, when I look at this, okay, and I see the market kind of rounding out up here like this, and I see this imbalance back here, and potentially the US dollar strengthening a bit more, okay, I look at that and I say, okay, well, this looks like a potential rounded top. And if we get the close below here, I'm looking for shorts, simple as that. Now, one thing I talked about last week too, is that if you look at silver, the interesting thing is that silver outpaced gold on the way up. It's now outpacing it on the way down. So it's weaker than gold right now. And silver has actually already, on Tuesday of last week, silver gave us a change of character on the 1 hour. So in other words, silver is actually ahead of gold right now in terms of taking out a low to give us a change of character. Now, we don't have it yet on gold, but knowing the two move together, okay, and again, the fact that the US dollar could strengthen here over the coming days, I do like the idea again of the market giving us that change of character below here, but confirmation is key. Okay, there is no short setup until we get that. But if we do get that, then my target for gold is pretty simple. Okay, it really is this area down here, basically below 4,300. Okay, this region through here. So below this low, this entire pocket down here, this would be my target if we get the change of character below 46.45. If you found this video helpful, keep it locked in here, subscribe to the channel. Also check out the video right here where I walk you through exactly how to identify things like a break of structure and change of character in any market. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday.